What's up, y'all? My name's Alan. I'm in my early 50s, and about a month ago, I came back to skateboarding after about a decade away. And for the last month, I have been consistently working on fixing my Ollies. I started skating in the late 80s, and I never had a good Ollie. I never had what I would consider a legit Ollie, which I'll define later, but it really meant that I only ever got so much height with my Ollies, and I never had control with my Ollies, which meant that I couldn't skate ledges or rails with any kind of consistency or safety. So there was an entire realm of skateboarding that was off limits to me. And I know that by fixing my Ollie, I will be able to unlock an entire new area of skateboarding in my 50s, which should be pretty rad. Okay, so what do I mean by a legit Ollie? A legit Ollie, in my opinion, is one that is controlled. In order for an Ollie to be controlled, as I understand it, you need that nose, like let's imagine we're on the ground, we need that nose to like come up, and then the tail needs to come up to basically the height of the nose while your body is either still on the way up or in that kind of floating moment at the top. So like boom, and then we're like floating, and then we're like controlling it down. What I've been doing, and I think I've seen this in a lot of other Ollies, is like that pop happens and then it like levels out while the board is on the way down. So the board is like starting to fall away from you. So maybe it does get leveled out, but it's while the body is starting to come down or the feet are starting to come down. So I'm trying to get float, level, and then down. And I feel like with that, I'll have a much more controlled Ollie and can control it onto ledges and rails, downstairs, things like that. It's another one of my goals, is to start doing small stair sets. I'm not trying to do anything huge, but I also know that I'll be able to like skate pyramids and hips and stuff like that. Just being able to Ollie over a hip, I know that would feel amazing. There's just so much of skateboarding that I haven't been able to do. So again, that's what we're trying to do. So now I had planned on making just one main video once I had a legit Ollie, but the process is being somewhat prolonged, and I figured it might be just as valuable for you if I shared my process along the way. I do feel like I've had a little bit of a breakthrough more recently, so figured it's just a good time to start sharing this journey with you, and then I'll keep sharing more as I continue fixing my Ollie. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna send you back to a little bit more than a month ago, and in as fast fashion as possible, I'm gonna kind of bring you up to speed to now. You can see all the pain and frustration and non-linear path of my Ollie progress. So I'll see you back here in just a minute. My legs like sometimes just don't work. Mild improvement. Obviously my back leg is still not lifting up, so I'm gonna try to concentrate on getting the back leg up. So I need to take like old man approach and just do a little bit at a time. I've been making the same mistake over and over and over again. I keep like sending my upper body forward when I'm trying to pop. And I didn't really know I had this issue until I had footage and I could like look at what I was doing. Even when I know I'm not supposed to be doing that, I'm still doing it. So it looks like what's happening is when I do that, my whole body lurches forward and then it immediately starts to push the board back down, like I'm interfering with the board. And it doesn't allow me to like pull my leg back and let the board come up higher. Because if I look at like where my front wheels are when I like pop, I should be able to get like a reasonable Ollie for a little guy like myself. So that forward chest movement is really just kind of like limiting me. Also, my problem is that I'm trying to get a higher ollie sooner. I'm not willing to do a better ollie lower. So I'm having to change that right now and just tell myself like it's okay if my ollies are really low if I can get rid of that habit. Because if I can get rid of that habit, then I can get my ollies higher than they ever have been. So that's what we're working on today. I'm also trying to make a distinction between leaning back and not pushing forward. I just need to jump straight up. I think that was a good sign. Was that a good sign? I know those are looking kind of terrible, but I'm working a little bit on speed, just like speed of movement, just to prime my muscles, prime my neurology, so that when I start going back to popping a little bit more, that'll happen. Because I feel some of it is like I'm doing the movements, but they're maybe like half a second too late. I don't know. I'm trying different things, y'all. But I do think that I'm feeling like I'm pushing the board in front of me a little bit, which is actually probably centered considering where my body position was at before. So that's starting to feel good, even though the ollies are probably only a couple inches, if that. I think it's starting to feel right. Skating is revealing a lot of limitations that my body has that I wasn't really aware of before. So I'm going to a PT and trying to work some of that stuff out. I've got like a joint impingement in my hip, which is causing issues with my back. So hopefully that'll help. Being able to move my leg better should help, hypothetically, should help with ollies. So working on my hippie jumps, and now I'm trying to extend more on the way up and get like as much hip extension as possible. Because I have a tendency to like jump here and then like try to lift my legs, whereas I really need to be like fully extended. And then my ollie should be up here eventually if I keep working. One thing that I realized in a previous session was that I was landing with kind of like straighter legs, and if I instead actively land as if I'm coming off like a big drop and handling a big impact and landing more in a squat, or at least receiving myself in a squat, it made me feel safer jumping higher in the air. So a lot of the times, like where you are in the middle is affected by what you do in the end. I feel safer jumping in the air because when I compress down, I can correct any errors. So if my feet land wrong or the board is turning or even like in front of or behind me, getting low allows me to correct things. And if I do fall, I'm already close to the ground. Hi, my name is Alan, and I like to forget everything that I just learned. Alright, I'm kind of feeling frustrated right now because like I feel like the drills feel good, and then as the drills get closer to an actual ollie, like it kind of just falls apart, and I keep feeling like I'm back where I was as a kid, not being able to figure out why the fuck I can't ollie. So I want to keep things positive, but this is real. This is what I'm feeling right now. I just don't know what to do, and I'm frustrated because I want this, and I know that fixing my ollies and having reasonable ollies is gonna unlock so much of my skate life. I have to remind myself that this process continues to happen even when I'm not on the board, because my brain is working on it. Ideally when I'm sleeping, it's processing this stuff. So I need to allow myself to slide backwards and whatever, but I do feel like I made progress on some of the other stuff, so that's good. My brain just hasn't put it all together. That's really what it is. What I'm realizing right now, my brain has the pieces, my body has the pieces, it just kind of hasn't put it together yet. I know I still have stuff going on with my left leg where I'm just having trouble activating it. Like I can jump, I can pull my legs up, but there's something about the movement of the ollie. There's some pattern in my body that's just used to letting that back foot stay straight. Eventually, this vessel is gonna figure it out. I've decided to just kind of work in a little bit of play in between my ollies. I feel like it's easy for me to get locked in and overly focused on them. So I'm gonna introduce play back into this whole thing. Keep it fun. The last session, I'm sure I talked about this. I did have some like emotional stuff go on, and that's rad, I guess. That's good. But I do think keeping things fun and keeping things loose is just gonna help me as a skater and as the type of skater that I am. I'll be doing some little slappies and stuff in here in between ollies. I know the short shorts aren't exactly skate attire, but I do actually find it's easier for me to see what I'm doing with my legs with my knees exposed. So there. My torso is actually floating longer than I think it is, and I'm driving my front foot down early before my whole like center of mass is coming down. What I'm gonna work on right now, I'm just gonna focus on this. I'm gonna forget about the back leg for now, but I'm gonna focus on holding my front foot up and see how much of a difference that makes. I'm able to hold my knee up there for a moment longer, and that's good, but then I like lost the like forward push of the front foot. Now we gotta combine those two things. This is why this is why my ollies have been so bad for so long, because I had all these bad habits and I'm having to like undo all of them in real time, piece by piece. It's like a house of cards, and I'm trying to replace a house of cards with actual like bricks. I just did one, and I realized like when I'm trying to get my foot to go forward, I'm making it go down. So I need to arc this way, right? Instead of like, I go like this, I get like up and then down. Like I go forward and down. So I need to like, yeah. So that was like a super incremental improvement, and I don't know how much better I can do for now, but I did notice that my tail came up a little bit more, and now my back foot looks like it's in the way, which is what we want. We want my back foot to be in the way because it's low. And so hopefully if I can keep that going with my front foot and get my back foot picked up, we'll have made an incremental improvement. I definitely still want to have my front foot stay high while it's moving forward. I'm still coming down as it's moving forward, but it's coming down less now. I'm gonna keep working on that, and then also try to get that back foot up. All right, I'm gonna try to think about this as just jumping and bringing my board with me. I feel like I have a lot of the patterns there in my feet. I still have problems getting my back leg up. That's just the thing right now. Maybe just thinking about just jumping will help, because I know I'm physically able to go, right? And I'm physically able to go. So I think there's something about being on the board and rolling that is like causing some kind of interference. To clarify, I'm trying to think of it as jumping and bringing the board along with me. All right, back to work. Trying to lean back a little more. So the one thing that I regularly forget is to extend my hips. It's something that like really limits my ability to float at all. Like that. Like that's not much, you know? So I need to like, and that gives me a little bit more. All right, we are back for another session, and the last time I was here, I was messing around on this picnic table, and I just kind of got a feeling for what the top of the ollie should feel like. And so I don't know if I'll get there today, but we are going to keep that in mind, what that feels like, staying centered over the board. The three main things that I'm working on today is getting my front foot to stay up higher so that when I'm pushing forward, my front foot isn't dropping. So that'll hopefully get us a little bit more height and a little bit more time in the air, AKA float. The other thing is trying to get my back foot up. For whatever reason, I'm just not getting the signal through to my back foot. Some signals get crossed. I need to figure that out. And then the other last piece is making sure that I'm extending my hips. So right there is probably a really good example. Like you could see how in my hippie jumps, I don't have a problem lifting my back foot, even though it's not that high. But as soon as I go to like try to lift my back leg, I don't know, everything kind of falls apart. There's a whole other chain of movement patterns that I've got deep in my system from doing crappy ollies for 30 years. So that's kind of what I'm trying to work through. All right, I'm gonna try something that I haven't done at all. I'm gonna try ollieing standing still. I've just been doing rolling ollies this whole time. So I'm just gonna set up right there in front of you and ollie. I'm not putting anything under my wheels to block them from rolling because I feel like that backwards shift of the board is part of the movement and I don't wanna lose that. So I'm gonna do a few here, just still. I was about to say maybe I'll have a breakthrough, but remember, our intention is to make incremental progress. We're not worried about breakthroughs. I'm gonna tighten my trucks. Just a quarter turn. Like I definitely tend to ride with looser trucks. Maybe a little bit more of a stable board will help me out. Trying to get my weight just centered. Arms. I keep doing weird shit with my arms. Well, I think I had a little something there. All right, we're gonna review footage. All right, definitely some improvement there. I feel like I'm able to start getting the board a little bit more leveled out. My back leg is starting to lift a little bit more. I don't know, I'd have to look again at what I'm doing with my front foot. Happy with the fact that my back foot is trying to get up a little bit more. So I'm gonna concentrate more on that, and then I'll come back to the front foot. One thing I think I'm doing is when I'm trying to get my back leg up, I'm trying to do that by like yanking forward, and that definitely doesn't help. I'm gonna keep working on getting my back foot up, but along with that, I'm gonna try to keep my torso like centered instead of leaning forward. Just fucking go for it! Felt pretty good. All right, definitely making some progress. My front foot is still dropping relatively quickly, but I am definitely getting my back foot up more. It's maybe not at the best angle, but I don't fucking care right now. I'm just like stoked that it's getting up higher. I'm gonna keep working on the static ones here, but I am gonna switch to a faster frame rate so I can do some slow-mo. All right, wow, I do feel like I'm making some progress. I feel like I'm getting my back foot up a little bit more consistently. I feel like I'm regressing a little bit on the static ollies, but I'm gonna do some rolling things and see if I can't apply some of the things that I've learned on the static ollies. Okay, real talk. It's moments like this when I feel like I've made some amount of progress and then I try to take it to the next step. I usually kind of fail miserably and I get emotional. I get frustrated. I think for most of us, it shows up as like, oh, and we beat up on ourselves. But deep down, it just feels like I'm questioning my self-worth, which is not helpful. And I'm trying to unpack that and just remind myself that I don't need to make a breakthrough. I made some incremental changes and I've been resistant to like really celebrating that internally and immediately want to like build on top of it. But you know, the way we learn skills is it takes time. Sometimes we need to sleep on stuff and come back to it. So I'm trying to give myself a break right now and be like, look, it's okay if we don't go any further than we already got. We're not gonna get to the end point today. There is no end point. And yeah, I just wanted to share that because like, I know it's easy for us to beat up on ourselves and we tend to mask it as like just trying to tough it through, but like in my past anyway, like that hasn't helped. And even if it like makes my skating better or whatever, it shows up in crappy ways in other parts of my life. So I'm trying not to like make my skating better by making the rest of my life worse. One thing that I learned is that when you feel frustrated, that's actually your body telling you to focus. Maybe I'm not focusing on the right thing, or I'm focusing on or trying to think about too many things, which is the opposite of focusing. So I'm gonna take a quick breather here, and then we're gonna do a couple of statics, and then we're gonna do some rollings. So we're not gonna just immediately go to rolling, we're gonna just start mixing in the rolling because the static ones are starting to feel good. All right, well, the GoPro was trying its best to record high frame rate, but camera sitting still on a day that's like 100 degrees outside, it's liable to overheat, and that's exactly what it did. Fortunately, we caught that last ollie, and I think that was looking pretty freaking good. I'm really stoked that some of you suggested that I do static ollies, like not rolling, because what it forced me to do is be a lot more balanced on the board. Like if I'm leaning too far back, or as I tend to do, too far forward, the board responds to that and just shoots out. So being more balanced definitely helped, and I think that was part of what was going on with my back leg. I can't analyze that, I don't know why that is, but I do think that that helped me get my back leg up. Oh, one other thing that I was doing is I was imagining that there was a ledge right there. Our brains like stories, so I told it a little story. I said, hey y'all, there's a freaking ledge there and we got to get up on top of that ledge. And that worked. That ledge, that imaginary ledge, was the motivation that my legs needed, I guess. Anyway, I know, like I said, it's only like an incremental progress on my ollie. I'm not ollieing over fire hydrants yet, and I'm not even ollieing onto anything to grind, so that I know is going to be a whole different thing, but we've made some progress. So yeah, that's where we're at now. I feel like I've had a little bit of a breakthrough. I'm here at the skate park at 7:51 in the morning. I think I'm gonna do some ollie practice, and we'll see if we can't take the more recent breakthrough and take it a little bit further today. So it was actually pretty cool to go back to the old footage because there were a bunch of lessons that I had learned that I have since forgotten about, specifically opening the hip and just kind of staying straight up and down. I don't know, I knew those things, but I just wasn't doing them. So I'm gonna try to bring those back real quick and then integrate those into some of the stuff that I got last time. One other note is so much of this is just feeling, getting the body to feel what it needs to do. I can think my way into some of it and look at my footage and analyze it, but in the end, my body just needs to know what it feels like because I can't pay attention to all my body parts at the same time. I'm gonna do some little practice warm-up stuff to get those feelings in the body, and then we'll go to the actual ollies. All right, sticking with my process, I just reviewed the footage of that last ollie attempt, and I can see that as soon as I go to do an ollie, I shift my chest forward. So I'm gonna go back to just working on that, but I'm gonna do that on a static ollie. So it looks like I'm keeping my torso from shifting forward too much, but I'm doing something with my left arm. I'm gonna see if I can't like get my arms a little bit more even, but I do feel like we haven't lost anything from my last session. I don't know if I can fix my arm today. I don't really want to work on it. So what I'm going to work on instead, I'm going to use the technique that I used before where I imagined a ledge that I was trying to ollie up onto, except I'm going to do it in the static version. Ooh, jump first, Alan, jump. That one felt pretty good, but I felt like my front foot was still just not floating. One thing I'm gonna start doing now is I'm gonna try to aim my front foot for like that top reflective part of the cone. So I feel like I just immediately go down, but I think if I have a visual to aim for, that might help. So, boom. Did that just happen? Okay, now I'm gonna think about getting my back foot to the height of that. Front foot aimed at that, back foot coming with. Torso, vertical. But I'm pretty stoked on this right now. Oh my God, y'all. I think we're starting to get there. It was just for a fraction of a second, but I do feel like we were able to get the board pretty much leveled out at that moment of float. This freaking technique, holy crap. And what's cool is I can actually look at the height that I'm getting on this cone and compare it to that ledge down there. And I think it's high enough to ollie up onto the ledge. We are doing it static, so I'm gonna start doing some rolling ones now. Actually, I'm gonna do a couple of like slow-mo ones real quick of this, and then I'm gonna go to the rolling ones. And just like that, the GoPro overheated. I was gonna start doing some rolling stuff, but I'm gonna leave it for now because I'm actually kind of out of time and I need to like go to work. So I'm stoked on this. You're still here, so I'm stoked that you stuck through this like saga starting from more than a month ago. We are gonna continue working on my ollies. We're gonna continue getting it better. I'm looking at this cone and that ledge down there. If I can get ollies around that height rolling, I should be able to ollie on that ledge down there. So I'm pretty stoked. So stick around for that, because once our ollies start getting a little more controlled, we're gonna start taking it to the ledges and eventually the rails. Yeah, all right. I'll see you on the next one.